Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 49ers Monday Night Live. It's the known as the aftermath. It is also Victory Monday. Victory Monday. 49ers coming off a 41 to 22 win over the Arizona Cardinals yesterday down at the desert as the 49ers getting on a roll, bouncing back after a tough one after getting handled by the Rams over a week ago down at the Mecca in Santa Clara. So the Niners go on to win by a score of 41 to 22. The Niners improved their record to 7-4, while the Niners hand the Cardinals suffered their seventh loss in their last 8 games since starting 2-0. As the Niners, as the struggling Cardinals remain in the basement, in the cellar of the very highly competitive NFC West. So we are going to start off with Kyle Shanahan's press conference, his conference call with the Bay Area media early in the day. Then we'll have in our segment, we will recap the game. We'll have our NFL news and notes, Professor B's 49ers report card from yesterday's game, and some pretty good grades. And then we'll also, after that, have a little high school playoff highlight game. I got a chance to talk with Washington Eagles head coach, first year man Javon Shannon. The thrilling come from behind victory over the weekend on Saturday, a overtime thriller. Washington Eagles over the Lincoln Mustangs 41 to 35 in overtime here in the city as the George Washington Eagles will advance to take on the defending city section and state champion Balboa Buccaneers in the annual Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl championship coming up 1 week from this coming Thursday, exactly 10 days from now. So we got lots to do right now. Now we're going to be, it's going to be the Kyle Shanahan press conference, and this was from early in the day, and it begins right now.
No, it was just more about getting turnovers and not having any, and then making some big plays on in the return game on teams.
Kyle, have you guys as an organization talked about the possibility of bringing in Justin Tucker for a workout?
No, we haven't talked about that.
Does that mean he's not coming in? He's not on your radar?
I have no idea. We haven't talked about one kicker with them, so I'm not sure about anyone. I know they're putting together a group of guys to possibly bring in Tuesday or Wednesday.
Have you got a chance to talk to Brock today? Everybody's wondering how after he gets through a game, how he's doing.
A little bit next 2 days, we'll get back together after that. But just talking to him last night, I know he felt pretty good and seemed like checked out all right.
He had one play where he got tackled from behind when he was towards the sideline, and it looked a little awkward. Were you did you feel so good about the way he practiced that play to not disturb you, or was there at least a moment where you're like, okay, let's see how he does here?
No, I really never did have that feeling throughout the game. He gave us a ton of confidence in the last week, how he's worked in practice, just how he's talked himself, and really never thought about it in the game.
Kyle, it may be obvious since Eddie hasn't missed a field goal, but have you ever had this level of confidence in a kicker since you've been a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, Robbie went a whole year without missing one, or I think it was just one. I forget what it was. So had a lot of confidence then too. But no, Eddie's given that same feeling, and he's been awesome so far, man. Pumped that we've been able to get him on the riders.
Do you know why he was so fired up after his last field goal? It looked like some of his teammates had to pull him over to the sideline.
No, I don't, but I heard about it. I just saw it on film. I think he's just a very fiery guy, and it's fun. We enjoy it, and I'm not sure what happened.
What about
Kyle,
backup? Sorry, Jennifer. What about backup quarterback? What are your plans with Adrian Martinez? And then you've mentioned in the past that you'd like to see Curtis Rourke at least get some practice. Is that still the plan with him?
Yeah, we'll open up his window eventually to give him 3 weeks of practice and decide what to do from there. Then Adrian, waiting to see if he clears waivers to see if he's an option to bring back on practice squad.
Kyle, Arizona only put up 22 points, but the yardage-wise, especially by Brissett, 452 yards. What did you see from your guys in coverage once you watched the film?
I was real proud of our defense. I think it's 35-10 going in or at some time in the fourth quarter. I think we played a lot of soft zone, wanted to make them work for it to get down the field. You obviously would like to get off and stuff, but losing a defensive end in that game with Robert going down early in the game, playing with 3 defensive ends through 82 plays, and our linebackers in and out, and I just thought I thought our guys grinded. I thought we kind of wore out big time at the end, but we were playing pretty soft coverages and just trying not to let them get back in the game. And the yardage does suck, but sometimes that's how games play out, and with the turnovers they got and how they played throughout that game, I thought the defense was really, really good.
Can you take us through the decision to also have Cleveland Farrell and Kevin Givens inactive for the day?
Yeah, we got to decide on which guys to go with, and we went with Beal outside, and then starting usually with the run game, we decided to get CJ up.
How did Ricky Pearsall look, and how did he perform assignment-wise?
I thought Ricky had a good game. He looked good. Couldn't tell that there was any rust or anything like that, and I thought Ricky played well.
Christian mentioned last night how difficult it is to have missed as many games as Brock did and to come in and perform the way he did. Can you just speak a little bit to the mental and physical fortitude it took for him to come in and kind of not skip a beat?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, when you haven't played. I know you got to play versus Jacksonville, but that game, he totally wasn't himself because of the injury. So like really, truly going to play like himself since week one, and then there's so much goes on in between. So to just jump back in there and be the only guy, him and Ricky doing it, there's always some anxiety and stuff like that. You always want to get to the game. Um, but how cool he was throughout the week, I think it made it very comfortable for all the guys and pretty easy on us what to expect. And then he was the exact same way in the game as he was all week. So I think that speaks a lot about him and kind of how even keel he is.
Kyle, what's the status of both? What's the status of both Jacob Cowling and Brandon Ayuk? Is there any possibility you could open the windows for them this week?
No, not going to be this week. Both of them are week-to-week deal, and I haven't. I'm sure Jacob will probably be after the bye week, and then Brandon's just week-to-week with just when he has such a big injury like that, just wait until he's fully comfortable to come up and start practicing.
Kyle, there was some question about Christian and others still being in the game.
About who?
You were Christian and like Brock, Trent, still being in the game. It was 35-16 when they scored with like 8 minutes to go. Is that just too much time left in a game to even? I mean, did you consider it or think about it? At the start of that drive or near the end of that drive?
Yeah, you always think about it, but yeah, that is too early. But that stuff's gotten so, people got to do it to cover their asses just in case something happens. But I've also been in plenty of games where that can happen and seen it done this year. Just all you got to do is watch the Giants-Broncos game. And always, like I talked about, go back to our 2020 game when it was 41-17 with 2 minutes to go versus the Lions, and they had the ball down one score with 20 seconds to go inside the 30. So there's so many situations like that, and especially when a quarterback's moving the ball like he is and things, that all it takes is one turnover. But it's something that you want to get on as soon as possible, get them out as soon as possible. And I thought Stout's turnover on the goal line is what allowed us. We still went 3 and out the next series, but it took more time off the clock. And I believe after that, when we scored, it was the time.
When you say cover,
What's the
cover
big,
your ass,
what's the
when you say cover your asses, do you mean that if someone gets hurt, a frontline player gets hurt in that situation, you're going to have criticism?
Yes, exactly. And I didn't mean to say it that way, but my vocabulary is not that good. But yeah, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it in the way it is. Like you don't understand that, but you can't just make decisions to not take that responsibility. You got to think about everything, and it's not always the easiest decision, but just how it's going to look should not be the first thing on your mind.
Right.
Well, what is the biggest challenge for a rookie playing that nickelback position, and just what have you seen from Upton Stout as the season has gone on here?
Nickelback it's a cover corner, it's a linebacker, it's a safety. They're playing all those positions throughout 3 downs. You're playing in the box depending on what the run fits are. You can play outside in man coverage. You can play inside. There's so many things that go into that position. So it's something you got to work at all the time. And I've seen Stout battling through this whole year and doing a lot of good things. Just like he did in the game, making that turnover and things like that. He competes in the run game as much as anyone on our team. And I love how he runs and hits out there. He's been beat a few times, and that's stuff I know he'll continue to get better at because he's got the skill set to do it, and he's got the work ethic and the character to do it too.
And Kyle, what's your assessment on the pass rush? There were some pressures, but not necessarily a sack of Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I thought we had our opportunity a couple times. I thought Jacoby hung in there really well and took a couple big hits and delivered some big-time throws on a couple big plays. I like that we didn't come after him as much with calling blitzes and things like we did the week before, which allowed him to get rid of the ball and get completions. But I thought we did better not giving up the big play. The ones that we did have pressures on. So we seemed to find a better balance with that in this game.
Hey, Kyle, in terms of McCaffrey, did you expect to use him this much as a receiver this season, like to help compensate for Brandon recovery? And then, how much better of a receiver is he than when he first came a few years ago?
Um, yes, we did plan on using this much, and I think he's the same. He's always been this good. Um, I mean, Christian is his skill set is what makes him special. So he's always been like this.
All right, that's Kyle Shanahan. He talked with the media. I was early in the day, so the news of Eddie Pinero, he had a hamstring injury, and he's gonna be week to week. And then Tatum Bethune suffered that injury as well. He's gonna he most both will probably will not play next Monday night. He had a high ankle sprain, so Pinero is going to be missed at least next Monday night. The 49ers will be bringing in some kickers later and within the next 24, 48 hours to come in sometime tomorrow. And Niners Radio 49 will be on that story. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will do our next segment on Niners Radio 49. We will have the Week 11 report cards, Professor B's Week 11 report cards, and recap the game. And then after that, we'll got some high school football highlights from this past weekend. I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. You're watching 49ers Live, Monday Night Live, The Aftermath, Victory Monday, with yours truly on Niners Radio 49. We continue on 49ers Monday Night Live Victory Monday. It's a victory Monday for your San Francisco 49ers. They were winners by a score of 41 to 22. And now we're going to go to our Professor B's report card from week number 11. So the offense, I give him a A. Defense B. Special teams B plus. Sky Williams opened it off, returning a 98-yard kickoff return. Nearly took it back for a touchdown. If he did, it'd probably be about 100 yards touchdown return. They get a B plus. Probably would have gave him an A minus if they didn't miss two extra points, one block extra point. They nearly blocked the field goal. Overall A minus, grade point average 3.50. And then also Brock Purdy, 19 of 26, 200 yards, 200 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Christian McCaffrey rushed for 81 yards on 13 carries, averaging 66.2 yards, 5 catches for 40 yards, a touchdown, 8 yards per catch, 121 total yards from scrimmage, averaging 3.7 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then the fun fact for the professor's fun facts: Christian McCaffrey passes running back Marshall Faulk for the most career seasons with at least 5 rushing slash receiving touchdowns in NFL history. Players with 600 rushes and 600 receptions through the first 10 games in the NFL. Timmy Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles did that back in 1965. Roger Craig did it 40 years ago in 1985, where of course Craig would go on to have 1,000 yards both rushing and receiving. McCaffrey did it with the Carolina Panthers, and then the other, of course, Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk with the Colts did it in 1988, and then McCaffrey did it with the 49ers. Brock Purdy and George Kittle passes Steve Young and Brent Jones as the second most quarterback tight end touchdowns, 23 in franchise history. Only Alex Smith and Vernon Davis hold the all-time franchise mark for most touchdowns for a quarterback tight end in franchise history with 30. So, so for the 49, and then now we're going to take a look at the standings in the NFC West, and we got a lot to dig into. So the 49ers right now sit at 7-4. They're just a half game. They're game and a half behind the Rams for first place. They're a half game behind the Seahawks for second place. The Cardinals are in the basement, dead last in the NFC West, 3-7. And then we take a look at the playoff picture. Philadelphia Eagles with their win last night over the Detroit for the reigning Super Bowl champs. They're now sitting there at 8-2. You got the Rams at 8-2. Eagles have the tiebreaker because they beat the Rams head to head. Chicago Bears at 7-3. Tampa's at 6-4. They will play the Rams next Sunday night down at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood for Sunday Night Football. Seattle sits at 7-4. The Packers are 6-3-1. The Niners are 7-4. Detroit Lions with that loss right now, the Niners would sit for seventh for the last playoff spot. The Lions would be on the outside looking in. And then we go to the AFC. The Broncos with their victory yesterday hold the top spot and there's the Patriots, the surprising Patriots at 9-2. Colts at 8-2. Pittsburgh Steelers 6-4. The wild card Buffalo, they're 2 games behind the Patriots, and the Chargers are 2 behind the Broncos, but they now have a game and a half lead ahead of the Chiefs for second place, and then the Jaguars are 6-4. And then the hunt is the Houston Texans, and then the 3-time reigning champions of the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs, are on the outside looking in. If the season ended today, the Chiefs would be completely out of the playoffs. And then Baltimore sits there at 5-5, have won 4 straight after starting with a 1-5 start. And the Chiefs, remember, they also lose both tiebreakers because looking at in the AFC, the Chiefs are now at 5-5 are on the outside looking in. They now trail Denver by 3 full games in the AFC West, 2 games behind the LA Chargers, who fell to the Jaguars 35-6 in Jacksonville. The Jaguars own the 7th and final playoff spot ahead of the Chiefs, plus they have the tiebreaker. They beat them in Week 4 on Monday Night Football with a head-to-head Week 5 win over the Chiefs. And then the rest of the playoff picture round up with the Colts 8-2. They're in first in the AFC South. They're 2 games ahead of the Jaguars. The Steelers are the 4th seed. They have a game and a half lead over the Baltimore Ravens. The Buffalo Bills trail the Patriots by 2 full games in the AFC East. The Bills would right now be the 5th seed, while the Chargers are the 6th seed. Jacksonville hold the 7th and final playoff spot, but the Texans are only 1 game behind the Jaguars for the final playoff spot. and both Jacksonville and Jacksonville will own the tiebreaker over the. They would own the tiebreaker over the Chiefs because they beat them head to head, and then the Texans also own the tiebreaker over the Chiefs because or I should say, the Texans. The Texans have a better conference record, 4-2, versus the Chiefs 2-4. So, and the 49ers are right there in that picture in the NFC. And this race is going to go down to the final weekend as well. Should be going down to the final week. Go down to that final week. So we are going to All right, we apologize for that. We're going to take this quick time out and we'll be right back in a few moments. We're having some technical difficulties. Professor B, we will continue in just a moment. Watching 49ers live, Monday night live, the aftermath, Victory Monday on Niners Radio 49. We'll be right back. Media, Wild Classic finish 41. All right, so we are back. We had a little technical difficulty, so continue on Niners Radio 49ers Monday Night Live, the aftermath victory Monday for your San Francisco 49ers, coming off a 41-22 win over the Arizona Cardinals. They're back at next Monday night, 1 week from tonight. We'll be back out the Mecca for 49ers and the Carolina Panthers. We'll be out there doing post-game live at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. They'll take on the Carolina Panthers. That'll be 1 week from the night. That will be on ABC next week. And we'll have our 49ers post-game live at the Hyatt Regency Hotel immediately following the game. And next Tuesday, we'll have a special edition of Monday Night or 49ers Live, special Monday, the Aftermath, Tuesday edition of the Aftermath at the 49ers poised to make their stretch run towards the playoffs. So, and, you can get your tickets at 49ers.com/tickets, Ticketmaster.com is the official ticket provider for your San Francisco 49ers. So let's take a look at the action. This was the on to win that game in overtime by a score of 41-35 in overtime. The Washington Eagles trailed at one point 27-14. They came all the way back. They got ahead. Lincoln came back to tie it. They got a 2-point conversion. And then this was probably one of the all-time classics. I got a chance to talk with first-year George Washington Eagles head coach Shanahan of the team's victory on Saturday. Hope you enjoy this interview. A high school game. This is the all-time classic. Shanahan, your first year. I mean, what a turnaround! What a turnaround!
Man, it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see that all you got to do is come in and just get some kids who want to play, and just do a little coaching, man. This is exciting to see. It's exciting to see. I'm happy to get these guys to their first Turkey Day, and and we're gonna take it from there. We're gonna take it from there.
Hey, a lot has been said in recent years of where the program was. A lot has happened. You've been at Mission. We had some conversations, and you holding the guys to the standard that was before you see a lot of the alumni here over there. You see Bonte Hill, Jamiko Barlow, and Cameron Wimbley, and Jamal Gilliard. Those guys was on championship teams, and Sam Morgan, who's part of the senior class of '98, won that undefeated season in '98. I remember when those guys were freshmen when I was a senior back in 1994 and '95, and that bringing back that tradition. And Roy Moritz, your thoughts?
Man, that guy is very poised. I love that dude, man. He's made it a lot of things easy for me for my first year, but just somebody who wants to be a player. Man, a lot for that dude in the future. It's a lot going for him in the future.
Just like his brother James too.
Yeah, just like his brother. His brother is down Southern California. He's doing pretty good too. So yeah, it's these guys. They got a lot of heart, a lot of resiliency. Man, Roy is a leader. Roy is a leader. True leader.
He got that Joe Montana, Jeff Garcia MO. But congratulations, Javon.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
That's Javon Sharon, the first-year head coach. The Eagles are heading to Turkey Day.
Let's go, Eagles.
Yours truly is a Washington alum, and it's going to be a lot of the alumni and a lot of former student athletes coming out there for this Turkey Bowl clash. And it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. It's going to be a big week next week, football holiday week. We got the Niners and the Panthers for Monday Night Football to kick off for the 13th week of the season at Levi Stadium at the Mecca. Then we'll have a Tuesday. And then after that, we'll have over at the Mecca. Then that would be on Monday Night Football. 49ers Live post game will be at the Hyatt Regency Hotel immediately after the contest, and then after that, we have high school the football championship for varsity. Thanksgiving Day at Kezar Stadium, and then after that it will be, and then Thursday night or Friday, Black Friday football. The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles taking on Chicago Bears in Philadelphia, and then after that, the wraparound, the holiday weekend, Thanksgiving holiday weekend. We got Cal football over in Berkeley. They'll take on, I think, SMU Southern Methodist, and then the Niners will wrap up Thanksgiving holiday with the Niners traveling east to take on the Cleveland Browns in Northern Ohio, and that's going to be a 10 a.m. kickoff, the wrap up Thanksgiving weekend, and then coming up in 2 weeks' time on December 7th, the Niners will finally have their bye week. And then after that, once they get back from their bye week, 3 of their last 4 games will be at Levi Stadium. Then they'll play the Tennessee Titans on December 14th. Then a week after that, they'll have another Monday night game against the Indianapolis Colts, an interconference matchup on Monday Night Football on December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas. And then on December 28th, they'll play the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football on NBC, and then they'll wrap it up on January the 3rd or the 4th. The 3rd or the 4th, they'll start on the first weekend of the new year. They will take on the Seattle Seahawks, and that game will be to determine, and it possibly could be flexed into a primetime game. So there's a lot more football and some people getting back healthy. And this is going to be the last month as we try to close out 2025 with a bang. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of 49ers Monday Night Live, the aftermath. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And special shout out to Dave Mertz, the dad of the. We're gonna our shout out. We're gonna give it to Dave Mertz, who's the dad of Roy Mertz, the quarterback, for that footage. Of that, couldn't be happier, proud for Roy and for Dave, and for the alumni that came out there on Saturday to watch that game. And it was a great moment. I'm going to put together a package, highlight package. I will eventually put on our network affiliate. But this was one of the all-time classic games, and me as a Washington alumnus couldn't be happy for this new breed, bringing back the tradition of George Washington football. So that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you for all of you for watching. And once again, congratulations to the George Washington Eagles and the Balboa Buccaneers. They'll hook up the play in the annual Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl game coming up next Thursday, on Thursday, 10 days from now, Thursday, November 27th. Kickoff time, 11 a.m. at Kezar Stadium in Golden Gate Park. And for the latest news on the 49ers, go to 49ers.com. Check us out on youtube.com/@NinersRadio49. That's it. That's a wrap. Professor B signing off, and so long. Thank you for watching 49ers Monday Night Live, the aftermath. Victory Monday. The Niners over the Arizona Cardinals, 41-22. And we'll be back later this week. We'll have another edition of 49ers Live. All the latest news. We'll have updates on our 49ers update with the kicking situation. And, by the way, Bay Area Bites will be out at this place on Wednesday. Come on out over in Hayes Valley. You get to meet Patrick Willis and have a free lunch, courtesy of the 49ers and Pepsi, who is the sponsor. Pepsi, by the way, is the official soft drink sponsor for your San Francisco 49ers. That's it for now. That's the wrap. Professor B signing off. Good night, everybody.